Well, let's go ahead and get started. Hey everyone, this is Jeremy Minnick from Enable, and today's webinar is going to focus on how to get more leads and calls from your Google My Business listing. But before we dive into that, just a little bit about basically what you'll get out of this session. So in this session, you're going to discover 3 easy and actionable tips that you can do basically today to your Google My Business listing that will result in more visibility, more phone calls, and more leads. Number 2, we're also going to show you how you can audit your competition so you can make a plan and stay ahead of them. And 3, we're going to talk a little bit about how to get more of the best kinds of reviews on your Google My Business listing. Right before jumping into those 3 topics, just a little bit about who I am, who are we at Enable, what's our team all about. Well, our mission is basically to help contractors win the best jobs, stand out from the competition, and be number 1 in their market. And so we've helped over 150 businesses improve their online presence. And in terms of kind of a full and comprehensive marketing strategy, we have over 30 clients currently who are helping win their market. Been doing this for over 4 years, kind of in the industry. And again, in terms of a mission and a focus for us, we've found that our space is really with contractors in helping you guys win your market. So in terms of, what are some of the challenges of digital marketing? What are some of the gaps that make it so hard to stay ahead of the competition, to keep the phone ringing, to keep the contact forms coming through? Well, I would say there's a couple of major challenges, and we'll talk about how to get over these challenges today. But some of the main ones would be, number 1, the digital marketing space is constantly shifting. There's constant advancements in technology, constant changes to how Google or Bing or all these big algorithmic types of search engines are working. And so it's so difficult, right, to be a master of your trade and your craft, and yet also keep up with an industry that's going 100 miles an hour. Secondly, more and more competitors are beginning to realize the power of digital marketing, the importance of having a good website, the importance of having a good overall online presence, how to do Google ads, how to do Facebook ads, the whole SEO thing. They're all starting to kind of key in on digital marketing. And so it's becoming a much more concentrated space in terms of the competition. And finally, again, keeping up with the technology, all the different tools, all the different tactics within the tools and the search engines. Again, it's going 100 miles an hour, and it's just so stinking difficult to keep up. But the good news is that if you can implement 20% of the tactics that will produce 80% of the results, you'll be ahead most of the time, if not all of the time, of the competitors. So how do you stay ahead of the competition in light of fast-moving technology, in light of so many competitors, in light of how difficult it is to keep up with the whole online marketing thing? Well, you've got to constantly stay sharp and stay, kind of committed to doing the 20% of things or more, but especially the 20% of things that are going to, again, produce 80% of the results. And so today, in talking about Google My Business, we want to show you that 20% of things you can do that's going to produce the 80%, the lion's share of the results. So the first place we're going to start is basically 3 things that you need to do to your Google My Business listing so you can get more leads. Again, 3 easy, actionable tips that you can do and implement right now, today, to get more leads, more visibility, and more phone calls from your Google My Business listing. The first thing is adding a keyword to your Google My Business title. So here's what this means. Basically, adding a main keyword phrase, a phrase that customers are using to search for your business or your service or product within the Google My Business title, can be a really rapid and clear way for your listing to show up, your Google My Business page to show up in front of more searching customers really quickly. Especially having an exact match keyword in the business name can result in your listing being shown for far more searches. we'll get into, a lot of times people will ask, well, what if I have multiple services? Well, what I would recommend there is that you really need to decide. So for example, if you're a contractor that is doing a lot of exterior projects on a home, roofing, siding, gutters, windows, doors, etc., well, you need to really define for yourself, what are the jobs I like the most, i.e. which ones are most profitable, which ones, produce maybe the most gross revenue and maybe the most profit, which jobs am I best at, which jobs do I want to be an expert at. And so maybe you ultimately decide that it's roofing jobs. That is what your Google My Business listing should focus on. Not windows, not gutters, not siding, not doors, on roofing jobs. So it might be, Arizona Roofing is the name of your company. And then here's how you would include it in the Google My Business listing: Arizona Roofing dash roofing contractors. So let's take a little bit of a closer look. Here's some examples. Let's say, again, your primary service is roofing versus siding. You're trying to determine which one is more profitable. And you'd ultimately want to consider as well, which one do people search the most for? So there's a lot of tools. You can reach out and ask. We'll also provide them in kind of the comments section of this webinar. But there's a lot of tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs or Moz SEO, or even Google's Keyword Planner. There's a lot of tools out there that can allow you to identify what's the search volume, how many people per month are looking for a particular phrase like roofing contractors near me, or remodeling company near me, right? Or contractor near me. A lot of tools that can help you basically determine that. But in terms of what we want to focus on, again, it's the one you want to focus on, the service that's most profitable, the one that you like the best, you think you can serve your clientele with the best. And so again, let's say it's roofing. That is what you would want to focus on in the Google My Business title. So just going back for 1 minute, again, let's say you're a remodeling company and your remodeling company is called Sam's Remodeling, right? Or maybe it's even called, let's call it Sam's Inc. You had a title from a long time ago. It didn't include the word remodeling or what you do, but you've built up a lot of brand value with it. Well, the way that your Google My Business listing title should work is you should have Sam's Inc. dash remodeling contractor. Or if you want to get even more specific, and by being more specific, give yourself a greater chance for really dominating the search phrase, then you might have Sam's Inc. dash bathroom remodelers, or dash kitchen remodelers, or kitchen and bath remodelers. And so on it goes. Whether maybe you're a painting contractor and the name of your company is Affordable Painting dash painting contractors. Or maybe you really like exterior painting, so really hone in and focus on that. Affordable Painting dash exterior painters. Again, the more specific that you can be, the better within the Google My Business listing. As a guy I once heard said in a networking group, you got to be specific to be terrific. And that's exactly true within the Google My Business listing. So the second strategy that you can implement is selecting the correct Google My Business category. So within your Google My Business listing, there's a lot of times where we'll notice within a client's Google My Business that they haven't selected the right category. And to be more specific, I would say they haven't selected the most precise category. So for example, maybe they are a remodeling company, but again, they're highly focused in bathroom and kitchens. Maybe they don't do so much with basements or other parts of the house. They really want to win kitchen and bath remodeling jobs. Well, within Google My Business listing, those things can oftentimes be, depending on what Google My Business is defining as categories. But currently, those are categories that you can select. The same thing is true in roofing. Maybe you do all kinds of roofing, but let's say maybe you're particularly focused on roof repair or a specific type of roofing. Oftentimes within your Google My Business listing, you can select and indicate what exact kind of roofing contractor are you. Or let's say, for example, you go, you know what, we actually really, we're in a super competitive market. There's a ton of competition for roofing. We don't feel like we can stand out because of our current budget, the size of our company, who we're competing against. So we want to show up for siding. We really find we can be profitable within siding. It's a great add-on, or maybe at times a lead-in to roofing jobs. So again, within your Google My Business category, don't put roofing contractor, because you won't show up in a hyper-competitive market if you're maybe a really small company with a low budget. Select siding as your Google My Business category. So a couple of good guidelines, select the one that's most relevant, select any other secondary one. So even though your primary one may be roofing, you can select, of course, your secondary category to be siding. But be careful, don't include irrelevant or way too many categories, because this will confuse Google about what it is that you do. The third strategy we have, just kind of as a quick tip, easy, actionable, is simply to get more reviews for your Google My Business listing. Here's a couple of ideas on how you can do that. Number one, within your Google My Business listing, within the main dashboard, there's basically a place, you can Google it. We also have a couple of videos where we indicate where you can find this, but simply generate what's called a short name in your Google My Business profile. All this means in generating a short name is that you have a customized link leading people directly to your Google My Business listing, so that when they click on it from the email that you send them or the message that you send them, it will automatically pop up a review box where they can write and post a Google My Business listing. So it's super easy and a great way to just cut down the barriers and make it more convenient for a customer to leave you a review. The second thing is simply, you've got to ask, you've got to send requests and ask your customers for these Google My Business reviews. Don't be shy, oh man, I'm not sure if they'll write me a review. Look, if you've done a good job for them and you've been, basically on time, on product, you did what you said you would do, most people are going to leave you a great review. And of course, you're probably going to recognize maybe there are a couple times when it didn't work out the way you thought it would, or the ball was dropped, whatever it may be. Okay, maybe don't send the review request to those people. But at the end of the day, most people, right, are very willing to write a 5-star review for your company. So just ask them to do so and make it easy. Here's some things as well, kind of an extra layer of what you can ask for in terms of creating a really good review. And we'll go into this a little bit later in the webinar. But here are some things you can ask customers to include in their reviews. The first one would be keywords. So maybe you prompt them with a question to say, hey, thanks, Stephen. As we wrap up this project, or as we've wrapped up this project for you, it's been a pleasure working with you, and we're always really grateful for the feedback and the testimonials from our customers, especially in how it helps future customers like yourself or like you were to make a decision about choosing our company. Again, we're really grateful for the testimonials and feedback, and so we'd like you to write a review. Maybe consider some of the following. What was it that we did for you? A simple question like that is going to prompt and almost kind of require the customer to include keywords. Well, what John and his company did for me was they remodeled my bathroom, or they installed my new roof. Already, they're including keywords within their Google My Business review. The second thing is, you might ask them to say, if you would as well, please write a short description about kind of who you are, or just what area, what city you live in. Again, that's going to prompt them. Well, John and his team showed up at my house in Fairfax, Virginia, and they were able to, boom, right now we've included the location within the Google My Business review. Maybe you could also prompt them to say, during your experience with our company, were there any individuals that stuck out to you, ? That's going to prompt them to maybe include the names of team members on the team. And finally, the most important, one of the biggest things you'd want to ask them to include is just a question. Tell me, John, what was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest problem you had before hiring our company? ? Question mark. And how did we help you solve that? Question mark. That is going to, again, prompt the customer to think about, what was the problem I had? Well, the problem was I was getting a lot of quotes that didn't seem right, or I'd worked with contractors in the past that just didn't deliver on what they say they would, or I was in a tight bind. I was in a super emergency. There was water coming through my roof, or there was water in my basement, and I needed help fast. Okay, boom. Customers identifying problems. And how did we help you solve that? Well, the team I hired with you, you guys, you showed up on time. You did what you said you were going to do. You were the first contractor, or one of the best contractors I've ever had. You guys showed up quickly. You were super responsive, right? Now they're going to say all these different things about how you solved their problem. That not only is going to create, all of this is going to create a great review that convinces future customers evaluating your company. But Google is also going to love, and Bing is also going to love, that you have keywords, that you have location, that you even have maybe team member or team details or company name within the review. And finally, that you have a lengthier review as well, where it's not just great job, 5 stars, right? A lengthier review that maybe says, here were the problems I was experiencing, and here's how this company helped me solve it. So just to quickly summarize here, kind of in this first portion of the webinar, basically 3 easy actionable tips. Tip number 1, add a keyword to your Google My Business title. Again, that looks like kind of name of company, name of your company, whatever the specific, most profitable, most ideal kind of job in a sense is, or category of job. For example, bathroom remodeler, or kitchen remodeler, or remodelers. Maybe you could even include the location, Northern Virginia remodelers, or roofing contractor, or roof repair. Whatever the most profitable and kind of ideal kind of job that you really think you can show up online strongly for, that is what you're going to want to include in the Google My Business title. Secondly, you're going to want to make sure that you select the correct Google My Business category. Again, you want to be relevant. So if you're a roofing contractor and siding contractor, and you want to focus on roofing in particular, great. Select that as your primary Google My Business category. You can also include siding as a secondary category. But don't add too many. Don't be irrelevant. Don't start adding gutters, windows, side, all this other stuff. Focus on maybe the top 1, 2, or 3, maybe 4 categories, but don't keep going beyond that. Tip number 3, generate more reviews and get the kind of customers you want to leave reviews. Getting the customers that you ask for reviews to include the business name, the services you provided, speaking about the location that they provided, that they live in and the project was done in, and especially, again, what was their problem before they found you, and how did you help them solve their problem? So in part 2, here we'll dive into basically a little bit more about, okay, I know what the Google My Business listing thing is, shared some easy actionable tips, kind of about this thing. I'm starting to really kind of get it. I'm starting to understand a little bit more about how I can show up with my Google My Business profile online. But in a sense, how do I know what the competition is doing? How are they showing up for their Google My Business listing? I'm in maybe especially a hyper-competitive market or a more competitive market. How do I know what keywords, what services I might be able to stand out for in contrast to my competitors? Or I am in a hyper-competitive market. How do I audit my competitors' Google My Business listings so that I can get on top of them, so that I can beat them in the Google My Business local pack? So let's dive in to that topic. Here's a couple of things we're going to cover within this subject. Number 1, we've got to identify what the general goals are for your business, again, in targeting certain services. We've got to identify your main location. We've also got to identify the main keywords that you want to be showing up for related to your business and your service. Then Based on your location and based on your keywords, we want to identify who are your main competitors. And based on those competitors, we want to identify specific goals. So let's talk about your main goals. Obviously, making money, making profit, winning more jobs. But beyond that, in terms of the Google My Business listing, we want to get into the local pack for significant keywords. Goal number 2 would be maybe being the obvious choice to click. This usually means being number 1 in the local pack. The second thing that we want to do is identify again your main location. This may sound more obvious than it is, but it refers specifically to the most important zip code in your service area. Google My Business listings are very much how they're shown, how you rank well is very much based on your address. So whether you're publicly showing your address for your Google My Business listing to customers, or whether it's hidden, wherever in a sense you received the verification postcard, wherever your office is, whether that be kind of a public, real office setting, or whether you be working out of a home office or just using your home address, wherever the address is, whatever your Google My Business listing, whatever address is associated with, that is your primary location, at least in the sense of that's where you're going to show up the strongest in terms of local searches. So for a fast but kind of accurate pulse check, maybe just pick the zip code that's most important to you. Number 3, you want to identify maybe 3 main keywords. How can you do that? What are those keywords that people are using to find your business or searching for when it comes to your listing? Here's how you can do that. The first step is you want to go to your Google My Business dashboard. Once you're there, you want to select your main location if you have more than one. Then you'll go into basically, once you've selected your location, you'll go into Insights, and within Insights, you'll scroll down to queries used to find your business. And this is a list of the top keywords and keyword phrases that customers are using to search for your business, but also businesses like yours. Go ahead and obviously write down those top 3 keywords that aren't your brand name. So we don't want to include your brand name, whatever the name of your company is, in this sort of exercise. Now, how do you find your competitors? Well, there's a lot of different ways. You can sort of use an eye test, but a little bit more of a technical way to do this is to go to a website like technicalseo.com/tools/local search. Again, we'll include this kind of in the notes for this webinar. Number 2, you're going to want to select the US as your region, enter your zip code, and then enter your first keyword. Go ahead and obviously open that up and repeat for other keywords. You should be left with 3 open tabs of search results. And here would be an example for roofers in the zip code 18504 in Pennsylvania. We looked at the keywords roofing contractors. In this example as well, we looked at the example of roofers near me. We looked at the keyword phrase of roofing company. Finally, how to find your specific goals. So there's going to be 5 questions that you're going to ask, and let's go over them just really quickly. Question 1, do any of these listings that I see within the local search pack results have ratings or review ratings of 4.5 or higher? If so, then you're going to want your listing to have a 4.5 rating or higher. If not, 4.0 or higher is acceptable. Going back to the example in the screenshots, here's an example of roofers in, again, 18504 PA. Lots of these listings have a review rating greater than 4.5. And so if you were competing with those companies, then you would definitely want to have a review rating 4.5 or higher. So how do you find your specific goals? And again, question number 2, What is the largest number of reviews that any listing has? You want twice as many or half as more as the next competitor, the next highest competitor. So if no one has reviews, then maybe 5 to 10 reviews is all you need. So in this listing and in this example, 14 is the greatest number of reviews that any of these listings have. So you would want, again, half again as many. So you'd want at least 21. Question number 3. Do any of the listings have one of the keywords in the business title? If not, then it's not as crucial that you do that yourself. But if so, then you should consider adding the same keyword in your title. So for example, again, if the competition simply has name of their company as the Google My Business listing title, then maybe you don't need to include and be hyper specific about including a specific keyword phrase in your title. However, if you look, especially in hyper competitive markets, if you look and it says name of company like dash roofing contractors or exterior metal roofing or shingle roofing or whatever it may be, then you're probably going to want to match them for that keyword phrase or stand out by including a different main keyword phrase in your GMB title. So none of these listings in this example, Greg Slack's Roofing, Ritter's Roofing, Choice Home Contractors, none of these listings has roofing contractors or roofers or roofing company in the title. So they're going to be easier to outrank as a result. Question number 4, are any of the listings based outside of the main zip code? Here's how you can tell. You can tell by clicking on the listing, noting the zip code, and then clicking the back button in the browser to return to the previous screen. But if not, then you should seriously consider getting a listing based on that zip code. Again, what that means is if you want to show up higher than them for a certain zip code that you're targeting, maybe that zip code that you're targeting is a little bit farther away from your home address, your main office location, especially by farther, I mean 10, 15 miles away, maybe in really hyper competitive zones, maybe 5 miles away, then you want to go closer and closer almost to the center of that zip code and find an office or create and establish an office address in that zip code area. So, for example, in this example we're looking at, none of these listings are based outside of the main zip code. If our listing isn't in that zip code, ranking is going to be harder. And question number 5, are there any ads in the local pack? If not, then again, it's not as crucial that you have them. But if there are, you should seriously consider having them. In this case, there are ads in the local pack. So you should likely be running local pack ads yourself, particularly since there's a lot of very local competition. So again, in this case, it's 5-star Roofing All-American that has a ad in the Google local pack. Let me just quickly scroll back to find and show you an example of that. You can see the very first result there, 5-star Roofing All-American, has an ad in the Google My Business local pack. So as a result, they're capturing a lot of the click-through rate, a lot of the users, the visitors searching for that, and are likely getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of leads from holding that top spot. All right, moving into the final part of this webinar. So we talked a little bit about, auditing your competition. Great, you now know how to do that, how to see, again, who you're competing against, what they're doing that's helping them show up in the local pack, and then ultimately able to then identify a really honed in strategy to say, okay, great, now that I know what the competition is doing, how am I gonna either do it better, or what am I gonna do differently, more niche, more precisely, to really help myself stand apart from the competition and therefore be found for more particular kinds of services or more particular kinds of jobs. So now we know how to audit. And so the final thing, major thing that we want to go over is how to get the best kinds of Google My Business reviews. Again, at the earlier part of the webinar, we spoke a little bit about this, but we want to go into a couple of deeper strategies to showcase how to do this. So here's what we're going to cover. One, we're going to talk a little bit more about why reviews are important. Two, again, talk about how to get a review link. Three, who should you ask for reviews? Four, when to ask for reviews. Five, how to do so. This is extremely important. And that's what we're going to cover. So number one, why reviews are important. Here's a couple of reasons. A, they're important to customers. People want to be confident, of course, just like yourself, whether you be searching for a restaurant or some other kind of service. I'm sure you have the same experience. We all do. We want to be confident that we're making the right choice. So customers choosing you want to be confident that they're picking a good contractor. Not only are they important to customers, but B, they're also important to Google. Good reviews will help you rank better. Number two, how do we get reviews that mention keywords? And why is that important? Well, a review can be extra helpful if it mentions key services that you provide. Google attempts to scan reviews and get an idea of what they're about. So a positive review that mentions metal roof or kitchen remodel or bathroom remodel or painting contractor or whatever your service may be, that will help you rank better for the key service or that service that you're trying to show up for online. And when a customer is looking for, in this case, a metal roof repair, and they read your review, they're going to feel really confident that you can help them deliver that job. Number two, in terms of what you want to ask for, what you want to try and include in your reviews. Reviews with images really stand out. Google has made it possible for reviewers to add images into their review. And though it's a little bit hard to say for sure, there's a lot of evidence that Google weighs these reviews more strongly than the reviews that don't have an image. And it also seems more likely that potential customers value them highly. All right, number two, let's talk about how to get, again, that Google review link. You're going to go into your dashboard. You're going to select your main Google My Business location. Scroll down to the section that says Get More Reviews, and underneath there, you will see a customizable link. And if you don't, all you have to do is basically, I'm sure you'll see it in your dashboard, set up what's called a short name. Once you set up the short name, it'll automatically help you generate the Google My Business review link. Copy the link, and then obviously you can send it to customers. Now, another key element, who should you ask for a review? Again, a lot of contractors, a lot of business owners get really worried, get anxious about sending out review requests. Maybe you're not like that. Maybe you always top-notch service. There's just no shadow of a doubt in your mind that you can ask customers for reviews, but I don't think that that's most people. I think most people are anxious to send out reviews. Maybe the job didn't go utterly perfectly, and so they're worried about, what if I get a lower rating? What if that customer doesn't say what I want them to say? Look, I get it, hear it all the time, but at the same time, most people are willing to leave a great 5-star review. If you showed up on time, if you did what you said you were going to do, if you especially consistently showcased that you are committed, that you care about them, that you care about the project you're working on, that you care about their success and their happiness after the project, they will write you a good review. Ask them for reviews. Again, you treat people right, they'll review you well. And so you should ask every one of your customers to review you unless they're the kind of customer you don't want to have anything to do with again, or unless obviously maybe the project was a total disaster. But in every other case, ask them for a review. And by the way, 4-star reviews are not the end of the world for 2 reasons. Number one, it happens. Okay. Most people don't have straight across 5-star listings for hundreds, 200, 300, 400 reviews. Okay. Not everyone is going to give you a 5-star review. And honestly, for a lot of people, number two, as a reason why that's okay, is that there's a lot of studies that show that people actually, especially because of how many people are online these days, how much competition there is, how easy it is and can be to leave reviews, they don't trust companies that only have 5-star reviews because they might think, yeah, but what about the projects that didn't go well? Or, oh, this must be a company that only asks people to write them 5-star reviews. But again, what about everybody else? So having a 4-star review rating, 4.9 stars, 4.7, 4.5, there's actually, again, a lot of studies out there that show psychologically that customers will actually trust you more for that kind of review rating than just 5 stars. Especially, by the way, if you have a lot of reviews, right? If you have, who are you going to choose? The guy that has 10 5-star reviews on his listing, or the guy that has a 4.7-star review rating, but he's got over 50 reviews or over 100 reviews? You're probably going to choose psychologically the one that has a little bit of a lower review rating, but way higher of a showcase in terms of projects that have been successful, customers who are happy, and the reviews that they're generating. Number 4, when should you ask for reviews? This is super important. This is crucial. Timing can be everything. There is a perfect time to ask for reviews. And when is it? It's as soon as you've completed the project and you've made sure that the client is satisfied. Preferably in the same conversation while it's still fresh in their mind. And finally, how do you ask for the reviews? Honestly, the best way to do so is in person. And if it can't be in person, then in a sense, do it over the phone or do it over a video chat. But ask them with the human touch, the human presence. And a lot of studies have found that to be extremely effective. Additionally, one of the things that you can say to customers again is, thanks, John, for the great project. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. I'd like to also ask that you write a testimonial for us, sharing your experience in working with us, especially because it's so helpful to future clients we may serve as they make a decision about which contractor or which roofing expert or which remodeling expert or which painting company they're going to choose. So by framing it that, hey, John, your review is going to be super helpful and important to us for future customers to make informed decisions about our company, right? Because nobody likes to get burned. Nobody wants, right, friends or family members or future customers. Nobody wants those people to have a poor experience with the person they're hiring. They want them to have a good experience. And so they're happy to write a review and a testimonial to help future customers, future people, maybe even future family and friends make informed decisions about your company, that you do a great job. But you got to make sure as well that when you ask and how you ask, you make the process easy and frictionless. Send them that direct review link that you created within your Google My Business listing. And include other options to HomeAdvisor or Angie's List or potentially Yelp or even Facebook, in case they don't have a Gmail-based email, because they can only write a Google My Business review for you if they have a Gmail-based email to write it with. And finally, don't forget again to suggest what they could write about. Maybe prompt them with questions. Again, John, your testimonials is really important to us, especially in helping future customers make informed decisions when they choose X, Y, and Z. As part of a review, you could consider talking about : and then include a couple of bullet points. Within those bullet points could be questions like, what was the problem that you had before hiring our company? How did our company help you solve those problems? If you would, please reference, what services we helped you with and what location your job took place in or what city you live in. And make sure that they know that they can include a picture of their new roof, of their new bathroom, of their newly painted kitchen, of their cabinets, whatever it may be. Having a picture, as they say, is worth 1,000 words. It's worth 1,000 words to customers making decisions. It's worth 1,000 words to Google. Okay. And ultimately, it makes your listing stand out head and shoulders above the competitors, most of which are not doing this. So hopefully you found, all three of these strategies and kind of parts and elements of the webinar today extremely helpful. Again, this is a quick summary. If you want to go back to the beginning of the webinar, watch the 3 easy actionable tips that you can do with your Google My Business listing today to do the 20% of things that are going to produce the 80% of results and help you generate more phone calls and, again, stay ahead of the competition. Midway through the webinar, if you want to review how to audit your competition, go back to, again, the middle of the webinar to see how you can audit the competition. What are they ranking for? How are they doing it? And that way you can either do it better or you can do it differently, again, to stand apart and above the competitors. And finally, in terms of generating reviews, reviews are incredibly important, not just for your Google My Business listing, but for your online presence in general, and for creating a brand that really values customer feedback and basically leverages the power of, in a sense, referrals online. Again, watch the third part of the webinar to see more information about that. Outside of that, definitely invite you to book a free strategy session with us. Form on our website, you can go to enablewebdesign.com/book. Going to that link, you will find kind of a whole display as to what a strategy session with us would include. But this is typically about a 30 to 45-minute session in preparation for which we actually audit your business in your area for your keywords. And we build a customized playbook for you and your business to help you, again, win the best jobs, stand out from the competition, and ultimately become the #1 business and contractor in your market. That's what the strategy session is all about. Again, it's free. It's about a 30 to 45-minute session. And we would love to build that customized playbook, not cookie cutter, but that customized playbook for you. Again, I invite you to go to enablewebdesign.com/book, or just pick up the phone and give us a call. Outside of that, also invite you to basically email us, message us with any questions that you might have, follow us on social media profiles, and we look forward to providing more of this content as we move forward.